After my brain surgery, I faced abandonment until an incredible surprise arrived to rescue me. The stark white walls of the hospital room seemed to close in on Sarah Johnson as she lay in her bed, disoriented from anesthesia. The throbbing pain in her head, a familiar foe, had become an unbearable weight. This surgery was intended to rid her of the relentless migraines that had haunted her for years, but now she felt like a ghost drifting through the sterile space. As a single mother and dedicated nurse in her quaint Midwestern town, she was accustomed to taking care of others. Yet where were her friends and family? Loneliness seeped into her bones, igniting anxiety that threatened to overwhelm her. She grimaced. They should be here. They should have seen her through this. Instead, the only person who came to visit was Mr. Thompson, her elderly neighbor. He planted seeds of wisdom as he shared stories of resilience from the countless students he had taught over the years. His voice, gentle yet firm, echoed through her turbulent thoughts, reminding her of the dreams and ambitions buried beneath years of self-sacrifice. Sarah's gaze flicked to the window where colorful blooms swayed in the breeze of his garden. A paintbrush slipped from her fingers and clattered to the floor. Just like that, a long-forgotten desire, a latent creativity, sparked within her. She remembered the thrill of bringing her emotions to life through paint so many years ago. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. It felt like a momentous decision when Mr. Thompson encouraged Sarah to join a local art group. However, as she painted and expressed her pain, a visit to a local gallery left her shattered. The gallery owner, pompous and dismissive, ridiculed her work. "This is amateur hour, Sarah," he scoffed. His words stung. Harrowing doubts began to creep in, twisting tightly around her fragile self-esteem. Did she even deserve to paint? The anticipation of the upcoming exhibit began to feel like impending doom, and her mind spiraled into a whirlpool of despair. She questioned whether to step out into the world or retreat once again into shadows of self-doubt. Just as loneliness threatened to engulf her, a letter arrived. The envelope bore a name she hadn't seen in years, her estranged brother. Hesitation gripped her as she unfolded the pages, the air crackling with unresolved tension. The words within revealed family secrets, a complicated past that challenged her perception of her worth, and the love of their late mother. With every sentence, flickers of hope ignited in her heart. Could this be a reunion worth desiring? But just as hope began to take root, despair lingered like an unwanted guest, the pressure of uncertainty bearing down on her. Breath heavy in her chest, Sarah stood resolute in front of her easel. That moment where everything felt both exhilarating and terrifying. The canvas pulsed with the urgency of her choices. Her fractured spirit teetered on the precipice of bravery, yearning to break free from the clutches of her past. As she stared at the blank canvas, a knock at the door shattered her focus. Who could it be? Could this visitor hold the key to her unrecognized potential? And why did she feel a mixture of hope and fear twist inside her as she approached to open it? Sarah inhaled sharply, her heart racing as she turned the doorknob. The faintest tremor ran through her fingers, a reflection of the turmoil brewing inside her. Was this visitor a symbol of hope, or merely another reminder of her solitude? She hesitated just long enough to gather her courage, then opened the door. Standing there, uncertain yet familiar, was her brother Michael. He looked older than she remembered, weariness etched on his face. Neither spoke immediately. The space between them was thick with unresolved emotions: regret, anger, longing. As their eyes met, all the years of silence felt palpable, pressing against her chest like a weight she could scarcely bear. "Sarah," he began, his voice wobbly, filled with an unsettling mix of hope and apprehension. "I didn't expect you," she replied, the words escaping her lips in a rush. They hung in the air, a challenge wrapped in vulnerability, making her question whether she truly wanted this connection, or if it was just another potential source of pain. "I got your letter," Michael said, shifting his weight. "I thought we could talk." With thoughts racing, Sarah stepped aside, allowing him inside. Instinctively, she glanced around, seeking comfort in the familiar chaos of her living room, filled with half-finished paintings and splashes of color that flowed in opposition to her swirling doubts. The canvases seemed to pulse with an artistic life of their own, fragments of her scattered aspirations juxtaposed against the raw emotion the reunion stirred within her. As Michael settled into a chair, the silence felt indomitable. Each heartbeat seemed to resonate with the question she dared not articulate. What had changed? Finally he broke the spell. I know things haven't been easy between us. I've missed you, Sarah. The sincerity in his voice wove through her defenses, stirring emotions she had long buried. She felt anger rise in her throat, a need to defend herself against the weight of the past. You missed me? Where were you when I needed support the most? When I became a single mother? Or when I was struggling through migraines and ultimately this surgery? Michael flinched, but he held her gaze, absorbing her words without retreat. I've made mistakes, realized too late that I wasn't there for you. I've let the past shape my actions. I want to make things right. The honesty in his admission ignited something dormant inside her, a flicker of hope shadowed by the disorder of their shared history. What if I don't have it in me to forgive? She challenged, the last vestige of her defiance surfacing. Then let us talk about it, he said earnestly. Not as siblings who grew apart, but as people trying to find common ground again. Sarah felt the stirring of an unfamiliar resolve. This was an unexpected turning point. A chance to reconnect with someone who might understand her struggles at a deeper level. Yet, just as she began to contemplate the possibility of bridging their estrangement, memories of the dismissive gallery owner flooded back. Her vulnerabilities rose like thorns, prickling her consciousness. What if this was another letdown disguised as a rekindled bond? The past wrapped around her heart like a relentless fog, and yet, here sat Michael, offering a choice she wasn't sure was hers to make. Her fingers brushed the edge of a nearby canvas, grounding her. Let us start with what you know about art, she said, testing the waters. What do you see when you look at those? Michael shifted slightly, glancing around at the colorful chaos that told stories she herself hadn't fully embraced. I see potential, but I also see confusion. His words struck a chord, echoing her own doubts about her artistic journey. For the first time, she recognized that healing past wounds could intertwine with rediscovering herself both in paint and in connection. Determined, she resolved to confront her vulnerabilities. The exhibit looming on the horizon had the power to either uplift her budding creativity or suffocate her talent. Much like her relationship with Michael. Let us face both our past and this future together, she declared firmly yet gently. With unshaken resolve, she turned back toward the easel, fingertips lingering on the taut canvas, breath steadying as she embraced the challenge of blending her fractured spirit with her emerging promise. The moment felt electric, until a second knock interrupted again, rattling the air with an infusion of new uncertainty. Who else could it be? Would their family secrets become the next layer of Sarah's growing complexities? As the sudden knock echoed through her living room, Sarah's heart quickened, a fresh wave of anxiety cascading over her. The weight of Michael's presence seemed dwarfed by the layers of uncertainty brought on by the unexpected visitor. She exchanged a fleeting glance with her brother, the air charged with palpable tension and unspoken questions. They were both acutely aware that matters of the heart rarely came easy. Are you expecting someone? Michael's voice cut gently through the simmering silence. Not really, Sarah replied, her brows furrowing as she brushed her fingers against the easel, grounding herself once more. Fear mingled with curiosity who stood outside, waiting to alter the course of her evening. Taking a deep breath, she approached the door, her footsteps deliberate yet uncertain. The thudding of her heart echoed in her ears as she reached for the doorknob, uncertainty prickling her skin like a rabid swarm of insects. What if it was bad news? What if it was someone who would only complicate her life further? She opened the door slowly, bracing herself for discovery. The sight that met her eyes sent her mind spiraling. Standing there was her artist mentor Elena. In the pivotal moments following her brain surgery, Elena had been a beacon of guidance, challenging her to embrace her artistic potential, while also providing a compassionate ear. Seeing her now, standing in the doorway with a concerned expression, ignited both relief and a rush of nostalgia. Sarah! Elena exclaimed, slipping into the space between them without invitation. I sensed you needed a little inspiration. Your art, I've been thinking about it non-stop. We need to talk about the upcoming exhibit. Fervor ignited in Sarah's stomach at Elena's assertiveness, a potent reminder of the creative force that seemed to awaken her from the slumber of self-doubt. I'm in the middle of, she hesitated, glancing back at Michael, whose presence felt heavier after the ease of Elena's enthusiasm. Could she juggle both conversations? Yes. We were just discussing art. Actually, Michael chimed in, the tension between them easing even if momentarily. Sarah's paintings have an incredible depth. Could this be a moment of triumph? She hesitated, caught between the offer of professional validation and the looming shadows of her unresolved familial rift. I appreciate that, Michael, but I haven't figured everything out just yet. Her voice carried the weight of indecision, but beneath it stirred a yearning for that missing encouragement. Elena leaned in closer to Sarah, her eyes sparkling with a fierce intensity that felt like an electric jolt. Doubt is part of the process, but you've got something, Sarah, something unique. We need to channel that energy into your work. This exhibit could catapult your career. The prospect ignited something in Sarah, a flicker of ambition, slowly illuminating the shadowy recesses of her doubts. She knew this was what she needed, a voice demanding her to step forward and create. She could feel it bubbling beneath her skin, seeping life into her bones. I've been thinking about new ideas, but I'm not sure how to express them. Elena nodded, her demeanor growing more animated. Perfect. Let us brainstorm. I want to encourage you. She turned, addressing Michael briefly before focusing back on Sarah. You have to believe in your journey. Remember, vulnerability breeds authenticity. As much as Sarah longed to immerse herself in Elena's contagious enthusiasm, the unresolved emotions with Michael hung like a specter, darkening the moment. She had to confront it, to weave the threads of their familial connection into her professional aspirations. But would Michael support her vision, after years of silence? Elena's presence sparked a duality within her, one half yearning to retreat into safety and the other, beckoning forward into artistic growth. Michael, she said, grounding herself in the chaos, I need to make space for both of you, the creative future I want, and the past I have with you. Can you help me figure out how to combine these roads? Michael regarded her thoughtfully, the tension in his own gaze revealing he too faced the challenge of bridging their fragmented past. It was a moment of reckoning. The bravery to confront her path ahead demanded she also engage with the relationship that had paused for far too long. Then, the pulse of uncertainty struck again. And what if this collaboration with Elena? She hesitated, knowing she had a choice, the pursuit of her passion balanced against the fears binding her family together. The next step felt monumental, teetering on the edge of both personal and professional evolution. Elena's presence had sparked possibility, but could she remain unwavering amidst the storms of her past? Just as she felt a torrent of inspiration surge within her, another knock rattled the door. Her heart sank, pulling her attention toward the threshold once again. Who else could join this moment of transformation? And what new revelations awaited her within this unfolding tapestry of her life? As Sarah stood before the door, her fingers still resting on the doorknob, a tangle of emotions swirled within her: hope, fear, anticipation. The sound of the second knock felt like a thunderclap in the quiet of their unfinished conversation. She wrestled with the urge to bolt back to the safety of her easel, to shield herself from whatever uncertainty lay beyond that door. What if it's more bad news? Michael's voice was barely a whisper, but his expression mirrored her anxiety. Or maybe it's something good, Elena countered, her tone brimming with optimistic energy that Sarah desperately wanted to share. You need to stay open to possibilities, Sarah. With that gently spoken encouragement, Sarah steeled herself. She had spent too long behind walls of self-doubt. Perhaps this time, opening the door would lead to something profound. Mustering resolve, she swung it open, revealing an unexpected figure. It was Mark, her former co-worker and a successful art dealer who once believed in her talent. Sarah, Mark exclaimed, a warm smile creasing his face as he stepped over the threshold. I've been looking everywhere for you. We need to talk. The surprise of his visit shocked her. He had left the gallery she once worked at in pursuit of something bigger, and she had completely lost touch. Mark, I wasn't expecting, neither was I. He interjected, his enthusiasm infectious. But I knew you were back in town and had to find you. Your work is creating buzz, Sarah. Your pieces from the past year have people talking, and I think we can capitalize on that. The room shifted with potential, but beneath the excitement, Sarah's doubts flared back up. "I'm not sure I'm ready." Those words escaped her before she could wrestle them back. "You're ready," Mark insisted, stepping further inside, his confidence unwavering. "I've seen artists take half as much talent and transform their careers. You've just come back from a major personal journey. You should be sharing that experience, the visceral energy, the vulnerability. People want authenticity." Sarah felt the spark of inspiration flicker at the edges of her mind, but the specter of her unresolved issues with Michael darkened it. "But there's so much confusion in my life right now. I'm trying to balance my art and my family, and it's not easy." "Let the art be the release," Mark encouraged, his eyes intense with conviction. "Acknowledge the struggle, but don't let it stop you. Use it. Create from it." Michael shifted, visibly torn between his protective instincts toward Sarah and the undeniable allure of the opportunities unfolding before them. "Maybe we should talk about this later?" he suggested hesitantly. "No," Sarah interrupted, realizing the clarity of her own vision rising to the surface. "This is my chance to take control, to shape my narrative. I want to do this, Michael. I need to do this." The acknowledgement of her own agency swelled within her, fueled by the resurgence of her dreams and the reality she sought to confront. There hadn't been a clearer indication of what she had to do: embrace her growth as an artist and person. "Let us talk about this exhibit, Mark. I want to dive back into my art. I need to give it everything I have." Elena's smile radiated pride, and Sarah could sense Michael's dilemma intensifying. Would he be able to support her aspirations? The air thickened with unspoken implications, a pivotal moment looming. Yet, she was willing to fight for her vision, to carve a path that blended her past and her burgeoning future. But just as the excitement coalesced, Elena's phone buzzed, breaking the moment's intensity. She glanced at the screen, her expression changing as urgency took hold. "I have to take this call, but Sarah, don't hesitate. Seize this opportunity." In her absence, Sarah and Michael were left standing in that charged atmosphere, her bold declaration ringing in their ears. "What do you think?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "But what if you fail?" Michael's words hung heavily, a stark reminder of their fractured past. "I want to," Sarah replied, a surge of determination rising within her. This was the inflection point, the manifesting of her dreams clashing with the shattering fears of familial ties. As she faced her brother, unyielding in her resolve, the door, both literal and metaphorical, was flung wide open. She could feel possibilities unfurling before her, but the looming specter of their collective history dulled the fight within. The next steps could either lead her to fulfilling her professional aspirations, or entrap her once more in the web of her past. And as Mark began outlining strategies to showcase her work, Sarah realized she had to confront her fears head-on. The time had come to face what she had always avoided: the deep-seated familial fracture that risked undermining her creative journey. Another knock echoed through the room, louder this time, rattling Sarah's newfound resolve. Who or what was waiting on the other side? Would this presence offer clarity or complicate her quest for balance even further? The air hung thick with a mixture of anticipation and dread, each heartbeat echoing like a countdown. Sarah glanced at Michael, who wore a protective scowl, and her heart raced. She wished she could navigate this moment with certainty, yet every nerve in her body screamed for cautious retreat. It felt fitting, nearly poetic, that another knock would arrive just as she stood on the threshold of her potential. Mark's expression shifted to curiosity, his infectious enthusiasm briefly overshadowed by the tension in the room. "Should I get that?" he asked, uncertainty flickering behind his eyes. Sarah swallowed hard, grappling with the choice before her. The last thing she needed was another distraction. "No, I'll get it," she replied firmly, steeling her posture like a soldier preparing for battle. She took a deep breath, knowing she had to face whatever awaited her as she opened the door. A flurry of emotions washed over her. On the other side stood her mother, a figure she had intentionally kept at a distance for years. The sight of her mother sent a sharp pang through Sarah's chest, a familiar mixture of love and resentment. "Sarah," came her mother's voice, tentative but heavy with unshed emotion. "Can we talk?" The fear of vulnerability bubbled within Sarah. She had grown accustomed to managing her feelings alone, confiding only in her art. The prospect of facing her mother's issues and their tumultuous past felt like a cruel irony. Here she was trying to embrace her path as an artist while grappling with unresolved family turmoil. Now, Sarah's voice wavered. She glanced back at Michael and Mark, both watching her intently, as if afraid she might crumble under the weight of her confrontation. Please, her mother implored, eyes teetering on the brink of tears. I've heard about your art. It's beautiful. But there's so much more to discuss. About us. The flutter of disagreement swept through Sarah. How could she focus on her future when her past stood glaringly in the doorway? But then Mark's words echoed in her mind. Create from it. Perhaps this was the moment to wrestle not just with her art, but with her life. A part of her longed to shove the door closed, to slam it shut between them, but another deeper call whispered for growth. Okay, Sarah finally said, her heart thumping like a drum. Let us talk. As she stepped back to let her mother in, she felt a strange mingling of fear and hope. This was a remnant of her old life walking inside. Yet under the pressure of her own convictions, she clung to the belief that she had the power to redefine their relationship. How have you been? Her mother started, her voice quivering as much as her hands. Busy with art, Sarah replied tersely, defensiveness creeping into her tone. Which is why I didn't want to. Didn't want to what? Her mother pressed gently, but the questions dug deeper than Sarah anticipated. Didn't he want to become a burden again? To revisit the past, she admitted, her voice cracking. The vulnerability slipped from her control, and yet it felt liberating. Mark shifted, watching them like an intrigued spectator, while Michael clenched his jaw, clearly wrestling with his own emotions. Would they be able to reconcile? What would it mean for her burgeoning career if she attempted this reconciliation? Sarah, I'm here because I want to understand. We have some unfinished business, her mother replied, fresh anxiety evident in her expression. And that moment, Sarah realized this conversation had far-reaching implications, not just for her personal life but for her art as well. A door had opened, revealing the depths of her own history, marked by pain but also by the potential for healing. Fine, she said, a steely resolve forming within her. Let us explore that. Yet, even as she committed to this moment, an icy uncertainty crept in. Was this the right step or merely a detour from her aspirations? Would dredging up past grievances derail her ambition? Or could she harness this chaos to fuel her creativity? As they settled into the unpredictable terrain of familial dialogue, Sarah felt the dangerous allure of her past and future facing each other head-on. The struggle that lay ahead could unlock a reservoir of inspiration or pull her under entirely. With each word exchanged, the stakes rose higher. Would this be a rebirth or another trap? And as her mother's eyes bore into her own, Sarah pondered one haunting question: was she ready for the truth about herself that lay buried in those conversations? Another knock echoed in the silence, more forceful this time. The room collectively paused, all ears straining to listen. What awaited them now? Would clarity emerge? Or would the unstoppable tide of change wash away everything she had just begun to embrace? The second knock reverberated through the room, unsettling the fragile atmosphere like a stone skipping across a still pond. Sarah's heart raced in anticipation. She exchanged a quick glance with Michael, whose eyes reflected a kaleidoscope of protective instincts and concern. Mark shifted his weight, the air thickening with unspoken words and unresolved tension. It was as if the world outside had suddenly conspired to crash into her moment of discovery. Should I get it? Mark offered again, his hand lingering near the door handle. No, Sarah said sharply, the word escaping her as a blend of fear and defiance. It's probably just a delivery. But even as she uttered those words, doubt twisted in her gut. What if it was another wrench thrown into the mix? Another complication she wasn't equipped to handle? She turned back to her mother, who looked torn between hope and trepidation. This wasn't just a mere visit. It was a confrontation with the storm of emotion that had silently brewed over the years, an emotional reckoning cloaked in the guise of familial love. I was just trying to reach you, her mother began hesitantly. I know I made mistakes, yeah, a lot of them, Sarah interjected, impatience flaring. The full weight of the sacrifices of her youth loomed over her, a tapestry woven with silence and resentment. Each time you walked away, I had to pick up the pieces. Sarah, please, her mother's voice cracked, vulnerability naked and exposed. The indecision surged within Sarah. Here was a chance, a raw opportunity to redefine a relationship marked by absence and disappointment. But what did that mean for her? Could diving into this chaotic emotional pool truly enrich her art? Or would it drown her ambitions before she even allowed them to blossom? I want to understand your world, her mother pressed, her gaze steady. What drives you, what inspires you? But you have to let me in. A flicker of distrust sparked within Sarah. Allowing her mother inside wouldn't just expose her to the easy comforts of shared history. It would risk the foundation she had painstakingly built for herself. Losing herself in this confrontation could trap her within the very setbacks she sought to escape. Yet there was Mark's earlier encouragement, urging her to transform pain into creation. Perhaps confronting her history was the kind of cathartic release she needed to propel her art forward. I don't know if I can do that, she admitted. Her voice a hushed whisper, as if the admission itself was a confession. I've worked so hard to move on. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting, her mother responded gently. It means healing. Accompanied by the past, not consumed by it. That simple statement lodged itself in Sarah's mind like a seed, taking root and growing in the soil of her uncertainty. As much as she resisted her past, it was an integral part of her identity. Perhaps this moment wasn't a detour but the very catalyst she needed. Let us try, Sarah finally said, her voice resolute yet trembling. But I can't promise anything. Before her mother could respond, the door swung open with a sudden dramatic flourish, revealing a tall figure wrapped in a striking yellow raincoat, her estranged father. Surprise! He exclaimed, an oddly cheerful tone slicing through the tension, sending shockwaves of shock through Sarah. There, standing amidst the emotional wreckage, was another ghost from her past. Her mind raced, grappling with how the presence of her father could complicate the already fragile ground she navigated. The stray fragments of her childhood memories began to swirl chaotically, moments of joy, confusion, abandonment. This was no mere interruption, it was a seismic shift as she stood frozen in disbelief, confronting the once avoided reality of her parents' decisions, the room brimming with unresolved emotions. Sarah couldn't help but wonder, how would she untangle the web of her past entwined with her present? Did this unexpected turn hold the key to liberating herself and ultimately fueling her artistic journey? Or was it yet another obstacle threatening to cripple her dreams? The stakes soared, bringing to life the very intersection of pain and potential that she had been trying to harness. And as Sarah stared at her father, the cacophony of emotions swelling within her, one undeniable question echoed loudly. Could she truly handle the truth of her family's shared history now flooding back into her life? The sight of her father, so unexpectedly vivid in his bright yellow raincoat, shattered the stillness of the moment, leaving Sarah's heart pounding in her chest, an involuntary reaction to the flood of conflicting emotions. She felt trapped in a time capsule, the past forcing its way into her carefully constructed present. Dad? Her voice trembled, a whisper caught between surprise and dawning anger. His cheerful demeanor contrasted sharply with the tension thickening the air, and for a heartbeat, the room circled around her, her mother's pleading gaze, Mark's immovable presence, and the jarring reality of the man before her. Surprise, sweetheart. I thought I'd drop by and see how you're doing. His smile, though genuine, felt like an intrusion, a remnant of a childhood she had worked so hard to bury. Too many feelings swelled inside her: disappointment, anger, confusion, all scraping against the walls of her resolve. After all this time, you thought a surprise was what I needed? Each word fell from her lips with an edge that surprised even herself. It's great to see you, he persevered, his voice lacking the delicacy needed for such a frail moment. Can't we just be happy together for a change? Be happy? Did he even understand the gravity of what he was asking? The years spent in silence and absence loomed like a dark storm cloud. How could he diminish the past with a bright smile? Mark shifted, casting a wary glance between her and her father. Sarah felt the strained silence, a thick fabric woven from her visceral need to protect her own heart and artistic vision. Would she really let herself be ensnared by the whims of two people who had shaped her fears as much as her hopes? Now was not the time to retreat. You think I've just forgotten? Sarah spat, the depth of her hurt breaking through the surface. You walked away, disappeared, and somehow thought I'd just... What? Pretend we're a normal family? Her father flinched, caught off guard by the gravity of her anger. I didn't mean to hurt you. I wanted to make things right. You don't just waltz back in and make things right, she countered, her voice finding strength amidst the vulnerability. You have to face the consequences of your absence. Each cut of her words felt liberating, an emergence of her voice from the shadows of her childhood. The intensity of their exchange began to draw an invisible line in the emotional sand, a point from which she could define who she was outside the legacies of her parents. I came to learn about you, he said, softening slightly, meaning to span the chasm between them, though Sarah felt most of it was still too wide to cross. To understand what you've become and to help if I can. Help? The word ricocheted uncomfortably inside her. You don't even know me, Dad. You've been gone too long. For the first time her father's smile faltered, revealing the uncertainty lurking under layers of bravado. Perhaps he underestimated the consequences of his absence. For Sarah, this was no moment of reconciliation. It was a test. She could either retreat into the familiar shadows of resentment or step into the light of her newfound agency. Understanding isn't just about asking questions, she continued, her tone resolute. It's about being present. Are you willing to truly engage with the consequences of your choices? As silence draped over them, Sarah saw the flicker of realization dawn on her father's face. A glimpse of the depth of her struggle. The sense of urgency crackled in her veins. Could he actually grasp the complexity of her journey? In that moment, a new wave of determination surged within her. She needed to confront these complicated emotions, to reclaim her narrative, not only for herself but to translate it into her art. As Sarah faced her father, an internal battle raged, the desire to embrace potential vulnerability, to redefine relationships, and yet the sharp instinct to protect herself from disappointment. The stakes were rising, and with them, the next step in her journey danced tantalizingly close, just out of reach. Fine. Let us talk, she said. Tentative agreement laced with unresolved tension. But I need to set some ground rules first. With her heart pounding and her mind racing, Sarah took a breath, the chaotic energy coiling tighter around the reality of what lay ahead. Would diving deeper into this familial turmoil ultimately fuel the artistic creation she had cultivated? Or would it tip the delicate balance she had fought to establish? The air shimmered thick with unanswered questions as she stepped into the unknown, her resolve trapped like a butterfly in a net, a captivating struggle waiting to unfurl. The room remained electric with tension as Sarah steadied herself, forcing down the tumult of emotions that fought for dominance within her. She clutched the fabric of her shirt, seeking grounding in something tangible as she prepared to plunge into the depths of a conversation she had long feared, but now regarded with newfound determination. Let us start with honesty, she asserted, not letting the uncertainty cloaked in her father's demeanor sway her resolve. It was an audacious statement. Honesty had been scarce in their past. She could almost feel the words take shape in the air between them, heavy with potential. Of course, he replied, a hint of uncertainty creeping into his voice, a stark contrast to the bravado he had entered with. Tell me why you left, she commanded, gaze unwavering, pushing the boundaries of her father's tentative approach. Was it truly as simple as needing space for yourself, or was there something more? Each question unveiled a layer of her vulnerability that she had hardly dared to reveal, but conquering this dialogue felt like a crucial first step. He shifted under the weight of her inquiry, flustered. It wasn't just about me. Your mother and I. He hesitated, his voice trailing off. The moment hung suspended, echoing with the ghosts of unspoken truths. What? You thought walking away would shield us from pain? She stepped closer, unwilling to let him divert her. You said you wanted to understand me, so understand this. Your absence hurt like hell. It wasn't just a bad choice, it shattered my reality. A flicker of guilt crossed his features, a silent acknowledgement of the heavy toll his decisions had exacted. Sarah reveled in the moment. She was reclaiming her voice, stripping away the glossy facades until only truth remained raw and bleeding. I was scared, he eventually confessed, voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know how to be a father. The admission felt like a punch, sweeping through her and ripping at the remnants of childhood insecurities she had long sought to bury. Scared? All she had wanted was a parent, a steady hand during the storm. So you just ran away? Leaving all the consequences for me to handle alone? The accusation hung thick, both relieving and painful. His eyes bore the weight of regret as he met her piercing gaze. I know I can't take that back. I get that I've lost time, but I want to try. I want to understand how to be here for you now. Hope and skepticism clashed violently in her chest. Understanding requires effort. You can't say you want to support me without knowing what that looks like in action. Each word resonated with tension, her heart racing at the prospect of setting boundaries and demands she had never voiced before. Mark shifted again, a silent observer, and a fleeting glance caught between them conveyed his concern. He could see this was more than just a family reconnection. It held potential dangers, a risk of reopening wounds she had fought to heal. Yet, the potential for growth thrummed under her skin like an electric pulse. Tell me what you think being a father means, she challenged, her voice steady, raising the stakes again. What are you willing to change for my sake? Because I need to know if you mean what you say. It's not just about me anymore, he finally managed. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. I owe you that much. The earnestness in his voice sparked something unidentifiable within her, perhaps a whimsical blend of hope and trepidation. Time stretched, the world around them fading as Sarah grappled with the implications of his words. Could she dare to let herself be vulnerable? This delicate dance of discourse was laden with bigger decisions. I want to build something new, she said softly, testing out the idea, though fear thundered just below the surface. It was a tempting concept, but equally terrifying as they delved deeper into an uncharted territory, one where their past intertwined with the echo of future possibilities. Sarah felt her dreams of artistic expression pulling at her core. The revelation struck her suddenly. What if this confrontation could fuel the very essence of her creativity? What if vulnerability in all its rawness could carve pathways in her art? The thought filled her with a newfound clarity. This conversation had the capacity to redefine not only her relationship with her father but also the narrative she aimed to express through her work. Let us finish this talk. You need to know the hurt you caused, but I need you to understand that moving forward is a journey. His invitation heralded a crossroads, where resolution blurred with potential disaster. The stakes had never felt higher. Would she manage to wrestle her complicated feelings into form, or would she unravel completely amidst the effort to rebuild? And just as that thought settled in, a familiar stirring within her sent adrenaline coursing through her body. A journey, huh? She murmured thoughtfully. Maybe it's time I set my own course for once, starting with you. As her father's uncertainty transformed into cautious determination, the question of whether they could truly navigate these rough waters lingered tantalizingly above them. In that delicate instant, a new resolve solidified in Sarah's heart, a potent mixture of fear and ambition sparking within her mind. What lay ahead could either ignite her creative spirit or extinguish her will. The air crackled with significance as they faced one another, on the brink of a pivotal choice: would she dare to fully engage with the tributaries of their shared pain and potential healing, or retreat to a familiar comfort zone that had become her prison? It was time to forge a new narrative, one that could revolutionize both her life and work. Yet the path to realization glimmered uncertainly in the distance. What awaited in that labyrinth of emotional confrontation would shape not only Sarah's future, but redefine the very essence of her identity. Would she take that step? The atmosphere in the room was thick with unresolved emotions as Sarah's mind raced through the implications of her father's words. Could they really embark on this journey he suggested? Constructing something new felt both exhilarating and fraught with potential missteps. Her resolve tilted between fear of exposure and the allure of liberation. There, amidst the trembling uncertainties, she felt a spark brewing, an intensity igniting her artistic spirit that had long lain dormant under layers of resentment. I need to know what you'll do differently, she pressed, cultivating the newfound courage blooming within her. Words mean nothing without action. Show me that I can trust you again. Her father's brow nodded. The sincerity etched into his face didn't go unnoticed. I want to prove that to you. I'm willing to change. Each syllable seemed laden with unshed tears and past failures. For a fleeting moment, she considered the possibility that this was not simply a rhetorical exchange, but a genuine opportunity to create a bridge over their chasms of hurt. Change is scary. Sarah challenged him with a blend of uncertainty and determination. How can I believe you when your history suggests otherwise? It was a fair question, echoing the doubts that swirled around her. Could she really afford to invest her trust again, knowing how fragile the bonds between them were? A father's job is more than just being present, he began, voice quivering. allowing vulnerability to seep into his words. It's about nurturing potential, being accountable. I didn't do that before, but I see that now. I've realized it's not just about me. It's about you. As she listened, Sarah found herself weighing the sincerity in his eyes against the wreckage of her childhood expectations. Could his admission be a key to unlocking the emotional reservoirs she buried? The battle between her skepticism and her desperate need for connection began to play out vividly in her mind. An idea dawned within her. Perhaps there was a way forward that involved not just him but also her art. What if I let my creativity guide me through this? She pondered, voice both cautious and curious. Art could be our companion in this journey, a way to transform our pain. The thought sent a shiver of hope cascading through her. If she documented their conversations, their shared struggles, maybe she could reshape not just their relationship but her entire artistic narrative. Would you be open to collaborating? She asked, emboldened by the revelation. The notion of transforming their painful history into something beautiful felt like a rebellion against hopelessness. His eyes widened, inches from disbelief. You mean combine our stories? Sarah nodded, feeling the emotional connection deepen. If we can expose the hurt, perhaps we could also show the healing that takes place. It needs to be real, authentic. Are you prepared to confront this alongside me? With each passing moment, she felt as though she was not merely confronting her father, but also embracing a pivotal turning point in her life. Art had always been a sanctuary. Now it could forge a new path woven with threads of healing and integrity. The gravity of their shared experience began to resonate within her, lighting a fire she hadn't possessed for years. I can't promise perfection, he countered, the sincerity spilling from his lips. But I will show up. I'll be there, taking every step, no matter how difficult it may be. Her heart raced as she absorbed his words. They were standing at the edge of a precipice, and the fall could either shatter her or fashion wings from her trauma. Would she dare to leap into this daunting unknown, letting the anticipation of new narratives propel her forward? As anticipation hung in the air, Sarah envisioned her workspace alive with color and emotion, facilitating the chaotic renewal of their bond. The art would reflect her journey, melding both pain and progress into an irresistible tapestry of growth. In that moment, she resolved that everything she created would resonate with the authenticity of their shared experience, inviting others to grapple with the truths of their complex narratives. All right, she breathed, turning her gaze back to him with newfound clarity. Let us begin. This is more than just our history, it's about crafting a future together that rejects the ghosts of the past. As they forged ahead, the air shimmered with the possibilities that lay before them, a promising duo on an uncharted course. Yet, amidst the hope, an unsettling question lingered. Would they be able to confront not only their past but also the intricate, deeply buried complexities of forgiveness? The room felt charged with the weight of uncharted healing, and as Sarah took a deep breath, ready to push through the floodgates of vulnerability, a nagging thought emerged. What if the revelations they unearthed could change everything she thought she knew about herself? The time had come to face the shadows of her past head-on. Not just as an artist but as a daughter daring to redefine her identity. What truths would emerge from this collaboration? And what new depths would they uncover in each other as they weaved together their stories, breaking free from the chains of silence? The weeks unfolded like vivid brush strokes on Sarah's canvas, each moment of raw confrontation intertwining with the quiet resilience she had unearthed. Every day brought new conversations with her father, each layered with vulnerability, regret, and hope. Their shared history began to surface, yet this time, rather than pushing her further into her own painful past, it propelled her creativity forward. As the exhibition date approached, Sarah transformed her emotions into breathtaking works of art that poured from her soul, reflecting the turbulence and triumph of her newfound relationship with her father. No longer just an outlet for pain, art became her vehicle of empowerment. Each painting was an invitation, an invite to witness the complexities of sorrow and redemption seamlessly intertwined. Sarah, your art is alive, Elena exclaimed one afternoon in her studio, her praise echoing off the color-splashed walls. This is what authenticity looks like, breathtaking. The affirmation washed over Sarah, enveloping her in a solid confidence she had once doubted was possible. The doubts that had once consumed her began to dissolve. With her father's commitment to understanding and change, Sarah had found the strength to reclaim her narrative, blending past and present into newfound clarity. I've never known how to speak about my feelings until I started creating, Sarah confessed as she painted, brush dancing across the canvas with renewed vigor. But now it feels as if I'm truly expressing myself for the first time. The night of the exhibit arrived, an electrifying culmination of her artistic journey. Surrounded by flickering lights and an eager crowd, the gallery buzzed with anticipation. As guests wandered through, many paused and absorbed her work, captivated by the tales woven within each piece. Each brushstroke is like a heartbeat, one visitor remarked, eyes glistening with recognition. The validation pierced straight through her fears, igniting a fire within. Her father stood beside her, visibly proud as he beamed at attendees approaching with admiration. "She's remarkable, isn't she?" he told one of the onlookers, his voice firm with newfound softness. Sarah glanced at him, and a smile flickered across her lips. They had tangled through the shadows of their past, yet here they were, framed against the brilliance of possibility. When the evening drew to a close, a gallery curator approached. "Sarah, your pieces are extraordinarily transformative. We'd love to feature your work in a larger showcase next month." The words swept through Sarah like a tidal wave of triumph. She had conquered her fears, skillfully merging heartbreak with artistic expression. Her art wasn't just a reflection of her journey. It was proof of who she had become. No longer the hesitant woman who feared her potential, Sarah emerged as a confident artist ready to carve her way into the world. "Are you ready for this?" her father asked, genuine uncertainty surfacing in his eyes. "I am," she responded, heart swelling with pride. Her newfound self-awareness transcended the doubts that had once shackled her growth. Sarah had achieved not only personal success but maturity in the realm of relationships. From that moment, she wasn't just an artist. She was a creator of narratives that flowed from the depths of her spirit. Her journey taught her the value of embracing vulnerability, transforming it into strength and beauty. As she gazed across the gallery, Sarah realized that this was just the beginning. The convergence of her past with her present illuminated the path ahead. With her father's commitment intact, they were forging a relationship sculpted in authenticity and mutual respect. And within that radiating connection, Sarah discovered the most powerful achievement of all: the ability to share her truth with courage, creating a lasting legacy through her art that would inspire countless others to embrace their own stories. The road ahead shimmered bright. She would continue to paint, to collaborate, and to explore, asserting her voice amidst the vibrant strokes of life that lay before her. Now, dear viewers, if you've resonated with Sarah's journey and transformation, you need to subscribe to our channel immediately. This is the moment to show your support for powerful stories of personal overcoming. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. The more support we show, the more of these incredible narratives can flourish. Comment your reactions and generate discussion. What elements of Sarah's journey spoke to you? Your insights matter. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion, reminding them that they too have the strength to confront their past and create their future.